Sham Shardava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatvam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Gana Ganatam Praptasya Kalyana Gurnanavasya Bande Gura Shri Charanara Vrindam Praptasya Gurnanavasya Bande Gura Shri Charanara Bande Gura Shri Charanara Vrindam Bande Gura Shri Charanara Vrindam Bande Gura Shri Charanara Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nritta Gita Vaditramadhyam Manasura Sena Mahaprabhu Kirtana Gita Vaditramadhyam Manasura Sena Romanchakam Pasru Taranga Bhajo Bande Gura Shri Charanara Vrindam Romanchakam Taranga Bhajo Bande Gura Shri Charanara Shri Vigrahara Dana Nityanana Shingaratanama Niramajanado Shri Vigrahara Dhana Nityanana Juktasya Bhaktamsa Niyunjatapi Bande Gura Shri Charanara Vrindam Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Swatpanna Triptan Hari Bhakta Shangan Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavat Prasada Kritaiva Tripte Bhajata Shadeva Bande Gura Shri Charanara Vrindam Shiradhikama Gavayara Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Shiradhikama Gavayara Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupa Namna Pratikshana Swa Dana Lolupasya Bande Gura Shri Charanara Vrindam Bande Gura Shri Charanara Ne Kunja Yuno Radikali Siddhai Jajali Bhiri Jukti Apekshaneya Nikunja Yuno Radikali Siddhai Jajali Tatrati Daksha Ativalabhasya Bande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam. Sakyadharitena Shamastashrashtre Uktastatha Bhavyataiva Sadhuvi Sakyadharitena Kintu Prabhorja Priya Eva Tasya Bande Gura Shri Charanara Vindam. Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Oh, Yasya Prasadam Nagati Kutapi Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Jayam Stuvam Tasya Yasastin Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vrindam Jayam Stuvam Tasya Yasastin Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Jayam Stuvam Tasya Yasastin Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanara Vindam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itina Mine Nama Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunavadi Pachata Desha Tarine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Patata Deshata Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Nityananda Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Nanda Gadadha Shiva Sai Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Damodar. Shri Radha Damodar ki jai.
Namami Swaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamana Namami Swaram Sachidananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamana Yashoda Biyolu Kaladabamana Paramishta Matyanta Todrutya Gopya Yashoda Biyolu Kaladabamana Paramishta Matyanta Todrutya Gopya Rudanta Muhurnetra Yugmam Rijantam Karam Bhoja Yugmena Satankanetram Muhu Swasa Kampa Trirekhanka Kampa Stitagre Bandamodara देवो दामोदरानन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जलधिमग्ना कृपा दृष्टि दृष्ट्याति दीनं बतानो गृहाणि समामाज्ञा मे दक्षिणदिशै कुबेरात्मजौ बाधामूर्ते भयाद्भाक् त्वया मोचितौ भक्ति भजो कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं सकाम्य प्रयसा नमो क्षुद्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह नमस्ते स्तुदामे स्फुरादित्यदामे त्वदीयधराय विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं प्रसादकुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् यशोदाभियो लोकलाघवमानम् करमिश्रमात्यन्ततो धृत्यगोप्या यशोदाभियो लोकलाघवमानम् करमिश्रमात्यन्ततो धृत्यगोप्या Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
जय विश्वपार परमहंस प्रव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शिष्यमाद इस्कॉन प्रतिष्ठा विविधि सांस्तपकचर वैष्णव शिरोमणि गौर प्रियजन कृष्ण प्रेम भक्ति दाता पतित पावन His divine grace अभय चरविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद जी की जय। श्री गौरी गुरु वर्ग पतित उद्धार की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भक्त रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भक्त दास सतगोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नामाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर जी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसरि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। जय परम दयाल श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। प्रेम नाम संकीर्तने जनक प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम श्री सच्चिदानंद स्मरण गौरंग चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि मवरनावतार की जय। गोलोकेर प्रमधानिनम संकीर्तन जय की जय। जुग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। बृहत्निदांग ट्रांसडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्णा गोप गोपीनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। श्री ब्रज वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। तेलोश श्री श्री राधा नील माधव की जय। श्री श्री राधा दामोदर की जय। यशोदा दामोदर माई की जय। श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्र धाम की जय। परम करुण श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्री पुरुषोत्तम कित्र जगन्नाथ धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु स्माति सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय। भक्ति सर्व विघ्न विनाशना कर्ण सिंहरे भगवान की जय। जगंगा माई जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। बोलो श्री मथुरा दारानी की जय। समवेत भक्तविंद की जय। निताय गौर जी प्रमानंद। All glory to the assembly bodies. All glory to the assembly bodies. All glory to the assembly bodies. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru Shri Gaura.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते प्रह्लादलाददायिने हिरण्याकाशी पूर्वक्षः शीलतङ्कानकालाये हितो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंहो यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहो बाहे नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे नाकामद्भुतशृङ्गां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपो तनुभृङ्गा केशवद्रीपा नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव करकमलवरे नाकामद्भुतशृङ्गां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपो तनुभृङ्गा केशवद्रीपा नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवद्रीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव हे गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल। प्रभुपाद की जय गुरुदेव की जय नरसिंह भगवान की जय भक्त प्रहलाद की जय।
श्री वृंदाई तुलसी दिवाय प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदेवी सत्यवताय वृंदाई तुलसी दिवाय प्रिय केशव सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदेवी वृंदायै तुलसी देवाय प्रियै केशव सत्य कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदेवे शतवताय नमो नमः। जय श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंदाई की जय।
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रियसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रियसी नमो नमः नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रियसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रियसी नमो नमः राधा कृष्ण सेवा पाओ ए अभिलाषी 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 नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः जे तोमार शरण लोय तार वंश पूर्ण होय जे तोमार शरण लोय तार वंश पूर्ण कृपा करी करो तारे वृंदावन वासी
कृपा करी कर तारे वृंदावन वासी
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
मोरे अभिलाष विलास कुंजे दियो भास
मोरे अभिलाष विलास कुंजे दियो भास
नयन हरिव सदा जुगल रूप राशि
नयने रिवो सदा युगल रूप राशि
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण
प्रेयसी नमो नमः
এই নিবেদন ধরো সাক্ষীর অনুগত করো
এই নিবেদন ধর সাক্ষীর অনুগত কর
সেবাধিকার দিয়ে করো নিজ দাসী
সেবায়াদি কর দিয়ে করো নিজ দাসী
সেবাধিকার দিয়ে করো নিজ দাসী
সেবায়াদি কর দিয়ে করো নিজ দাসী
নমো নমঃ तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
दीन कृष्ण दास को जे नमो रहोय
दीन कृष्ण दास कोई ये नमो रहोय
दीन कृष्ण दास को जे नमो रहोय
दीन कृष्ण दास कोई ये नमो रहोय
श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेम सदा जिन बासी
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 नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्म हत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा प्रदे पादे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मात्यधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्म हत्याधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्मात्यधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी आय महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय महारानी जय तुलसी महारानी जय वृंदा देवी Vrinda Devi Jaya 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 Vrinda Devi Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Guru
Shri Vrindai Tulasi Bai Priya Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavataye Namo Namo Vrindai Tulasi Bai Priya Kesava Satya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satavataye Namo Namo Vrindaya Tulasi Devai Priya Kesava Satya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satavataye Namo Namo Jai Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service of Shishi Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you as wishes fulfilled, bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavana. My desire is that you also grant me a residence in pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavana. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower carrying themselves of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your own met servant, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna praise. May I always swim in love with Shri Radha and Govinda. Shri Mati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sikhastakam Ki Jai. Chaito Darpanam Majanam Bhava Mahadava Nirvapanam Shri Akari Vachandika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Punamrita Swadanam Sarvatmasnam Param Param Jai Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Baudha Nisa Sarva Shaktis Tatra Nanuragaha Rinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Saishnuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vaja Garisha Kamaye Mama Janmane Janmanishwari Bhavatar Bhakti Raitu Kitvai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Paritamam Vishame Bhavam Hudo Kripaya Tapapada Pankaja Stita Dhuli Sadrisham Vichintaya Nenam Galora Shrudharaya Vadanam Gadagada Rudhaya Gira Pulakairi Chitamba Pukada Tabanama Grahane Bhavishati Jugaitam Nimishena Chakrusha Prarusaitam Shunya Itam Jagata Sarvam Govinda Virahena Me Aslishava Padaratam Pinastumam Adarshanar Marmahatam Karotuva Jatha Tathava Vidadhatu Lampato Mat Pranatastu Saivana Para Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Khastakam Ki Jai Namo Mahavarannaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishe Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharine Nivrishesha Shunyavadi Pasatya Disatarine. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of a conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan moment is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have invested all your transcendental energy. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself a lord on stroll in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your God's devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet some or other I've fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes will be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and it should remain so. Even if he sandals me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Khastakam Ki Jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who dedicated life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigods, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to or independent of the name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9. To instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto the Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. They are just like desired trees. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Jibancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaivacha paritanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo. Jai ki jai.
Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Om
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana
Salakaya Chaksurun militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jataha Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Saivaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Pradan Sahaguna Lalita Shri Vishakavani Vishamsa Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Siddham Bhagavati Damini Shri Vasudhati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesa Sunyavadi Pastate Desatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namini Shri Vasavanavi Dayitaya Gratvaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhur Ujvala Premadya Shri Rupanaga Bhakti Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Apasiddhanta Dvantaharine Namaste Murtaye Vipralambara Sambodhe Padambujayate Namaha Bhakti Vinodaya Sachitanandanamine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gora Bhavabhamestvam Nidesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhamasri Jaganatayate Namaha Kalpa Tarabhyascha Kripasindubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Krishna Prema Padayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guru Chase Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakam Namami Bhakta Saktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopal Mahamananamastute Chayatanam Suratur Pangur Mama Manda Mater Gati Matsarva Swapadambo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadumadaha Shimad Ratnagara Simasanastito Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devos Prastali Vihi Sevyamanos Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasaran Vivam Sivata Tatastita Karsan Venusvanir Gopir Gopinatakstriyestuna Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Brahma Samiti Ki Jai Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadi Radhe Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakarasat Masukalpa Vriksha Laksha Vitesa Surabhira Vipalyantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasam Brahma Sevyamanam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venam Gananda Dharinda Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Pakoti Aniya Vishesa Somam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chandrakala Sadvanamalya Vamsi Ratnam Gadam Pranayakili Kalavilasa Shamam Chibangala Litani Taprakasam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittimanti Pasyanti Panti Kalyanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedesa Durlabam Adurlabam Apabhakto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastukoti Satavatsari Sampragam Yavayora Tapi Manasamuni Pungamanam Suprasti Yat Prapadisam Avichintya Tatve Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajam Ekopya Soda Chayatam Jagadanda Kotim Yaschakti Rasti Jagadanda Chaya Yadanta Adanta Rasta Paramanu Jayanta Rastam Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajam Yad Bhava Bhavita Diva Manajasta Taiva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayanabusa Suktarya Meva Nigama Pratitaistavanti Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajam Ananda Chinmaya Rasatpati Bhavita Tabirya Eva Nija Rupa Dayakalabi Goloka Eva Nivasata Kilatma Bhutto Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santaksa Deva Hidesu Vilokanti Yam Shama Sundaram Ramachinta Gunaswarupam Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ramadi Murti Sukalani Menatistan Hanavatana Makarud Bhuvanesa Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhuvat Paramampamamyo Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Asya Prabhavato Jagananda Koti Koti Swasesa Vasadadi Vibhuti Binam Tad Brahman Isklamanam Tamasesa Bhutam Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Mayahi Asya Jagananda Satani Sute Tragun Yatad Visaya Veda Vitayamanam Sattva-valambi Parasatvam Visuddha Sattvam Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmayara Satmateha Manasuya Praninam Pratifulam Smaratam Upetya Lila Yatena Bhuvanani Jaya Jasram Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Goloka Namni Nijadamni Talechatasya Devi Mahesu Adidama Satesu Tesu Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vyataschayena Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Sustistati Pralaya Sadhava Saktireka Jaya Vyasya Bhuvanani Vimarti Durga Ichana Rupapi Asya Chitestate Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Chiram Yata Dadi Vikala Visesa Yoga Sanjayate Nahitata Pritagasti Hetu Yasambutama Pitata Samabhaitikarya Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dipachade Vita Santana Mabhipetya Dipayate Vitaiti Samana Dharma Yastadra Gevihicha Vishnutaya Vibhati Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yakarna Narna Vajali Bhajtisma Yoga Nidramananta Jagadanda Saroma Kupad Harasakti Mavalambi Param Samartim Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yasyakani Swasita Kalamata Avalambya Jivanti Loma Vidaja Jagadandanata Vishnu Mahansa Yasya Kalabi Sesa Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Vasmanya Tasma Sakalation Yestutesha Sriyam Kiyat Prakatiyat Apitat Pradatra Pramaya Esa Jagadanda Vidana Kartas Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yat Pada Palava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbadwande Pranama Samaya Sigaladi Raja Vignam Vihanta Malamasi Jagatrayasya Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajam Agni Mahika Ganaman Bhumarudi Sasha Galasta Tatma Manasiti Jagatrayani Yasmad Bhavanti Vibhavanti Visanti Amsha Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yaschak Suresa Savita Sagalagrahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Resesa Tesha Yasya Gaya Brahmati Sambrita Kalachakro Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Dharmota Papa Nijaya Sutayasta Pamsi Brahmadi Kita Patagavata Yasjiva Yadata Matari Bhava Prakata Prabhava Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajami Yastrinda Gopa Matavendra Mahoswa Karma Bandana Rupa Falabhajana Matanoti Karmani Nidahati Kinchita Bhakti Bhajam Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajam Yam Koda Kama Sahaja Pranayati Biti Vatsaya Moha Gora Gora Vasivi Bhava Sanchinchita Satrisim Tanamaparete Govinda Mahadi Purisham Tamaham Bhajam Shia Kanta Kanta Parama Purusha Kalpatara Vajamabu Mishtinamai Kanamai Toyamabnatam Takata Ganam Natyam Gamanam Bivam Sipya Sakichiranandam Juti Parama Pitata Swatyamapicha Sayatra Shiradivi Shavadi Shirabi Vyasta Suma Nimesar Dakyava Rajistina Yatri Samaya Bajisvita Dipamtama Yulgolukam Itiam Vidantaste Santakshikara Katipa Yeshi Guru Vastakapirsky. The spiritual master receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. Just as the cloud pours water on the forest fire that extinguishes, so the spiritual master delivers a materially afflicted Lord by extinguishing and blazing fire materially. I offer my respectful base not the lotus feet of such spiritual master, an ocean of auspicious quality. Chanting the holy name, dancing next, singing, playing musical instruments, the spiritual master is always gladdened by the sanctified movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he is relishing in mellows of pure devotion with his mind. Sometimes his hair stands on end and he feels quivering in his body and tears fall from his eyes like waves. So I offer my respectful base not the lotus feet of such spiritual master. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Shri Radha and Krishna. He also engaged his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. For my respectful base, not the lotus feet, such spiritual master. Spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, and unless it's that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasad, he is satisfied. For my respectful base, not the lotus feet, such spiritual master. Spiritual master is always eager to hear and chant about the unlimited conjugal pastime of Radhika Madhava and their qualities, names, and forms. The spiritual master aspires to realize these at every moment. For my respectful base, not the lotus feet, such spiritual master. Spiritual master is very dear because he is expert in assisting gopis who at different times make different tastes and arrangements for the perfection of Radha and Krishna's conjugal loving affairs within the groves of Vrindavan. For my most humble base, not the lotus feet, such spiritual master. The spiritual master, to be honored, is much the Supreme Lord because he's the most confidential servant to the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful base, not the lotus feet, such spiritual master, who is a bona fide representative of Shri Hare Krishna. By the mercy of the spiritual master, I received the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, I cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master at least 3 times a day. I should offer my respectful base unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, his divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And today we're going to hear a special lecture all about Srila Prabhupada because it's his disappearance day. So, and this is a wonderful lecture that he gave. It's called The Absolute Necessity of a Spiritual Master. Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja offering to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in 1936. And it begins, it says, the absolute necessity of a spiritual master. In February 1936 in Bombay, India, the members of a reputed religious society, the Gaudiya Math, were astonished by the powerful and eloquent words of a young member who spoke Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. 3 decades later, the young speaker would become the world-renowned founder and spiritual master of the Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada's presentation is a memorable statement on the importance of the Guru in spiritual life. Shakshat Taritvena Samasta Shastra Yuktas Tata Bhavyata Eva Sadvi Kintu Prabhuya Priya Eva Tasya Vande Gururshi Charanarvindam. In the revealed scriptures, it is declared that the spiritual master should be worshipped like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this injunction is obeyed by pure devotees of the Lord. The spiritual master is the most confidential servant of the Lord. Thus, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of our spiritual master. Gentlemen, on behalf of the members of the Bombay branch of the Gaudiya Math, let me welcome you all because you have so kindly joined us tonight in our congregational offerings of homage to the lotus feet of the world teacher Acharya Deva, who is the founder of the Gaudiya mission and the president Acharya of Shri Shri Vishwa Vaishnava Raja Sabha. I mean my eternal divine master, Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. 62 years ago, on this auspicious day, the Acharya Dev made his appearance by the call of Thakur Bhakti Vinod at Shri Chetra Jagannatha Dhamma at Puri. Gentlemen, the offering of such an homage as has been arranged this evening to the Acharya Deva is not a sectarian concern, for when we speak of the fundamental principle of Guru Deva or Acharya Deva, we speak of something that is of universal application. There does not arise any question of discriminating my Guru from yours or anyone else's. There is only one Guru who appears in an infinity of forms to teach you, me, and all others. The Guru, or Acharya Deva, as we learn from the bona fide scriptures, delivers the message of the absolute world, the transcendental abode of the absolute personality, where everything non-differentially serves the absolute truth. We have heard so many times, Mahajano Yena Gata Sapanta, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 17.186. Traverse the trail which your previous Acharya has passed, but we have hardly tried to understand the real purport of this sloka. If we scrupulously study this proposition, we understand that the Mahajana is one, and the royal road to the transcendental world is also one. In the Mundaka Upanishad 1.2.12, it is said, Tadvijnanartam sagurum eva vikachet samit pranisrutyam brahmanistam. In order to learn the transcendental science, one must approach the bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession, who is fixed in the absolute truth. Now, I just want to go back for a second on this fundamental point Prabhupada is making here. He says, Mahajano Yenagata Sapanta. Traverse the trail which your previous Acharya has passed. But we have hardly understood, but we hardly tried to understand the real purport of this sloka. If we scrupulously study this proposition, we understand that the Mahajana is one, and the royal road to the transcendental world is also one in the Munda. So this is a very important thing that Prabhupada says. We have hardly tried to understand the real purport of this sloka. Now, what is he saying here exactly? He's saying that Mahajana Yena Gata Sapanta. Well, that verse says that one cannot understand the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, by any type of mental speculation or any type of theories, by going to lectures of different people, because oftentimes they have different points of view, by argument and logic, because you'll always find someone who's better at argument and logic than you are, but that doesn't mean they know what the truth is, right? Therefore, because the purport of the truth is held secretly in the heart of a pure devotee, therefore, our only possible way of understanding is Mahajana Yena Gata Sapanta, by following the path traversed by the pure devotee, spiritual master or masters. So what does that mean exactly? That means that we should never do anything that the Guru did not do. That's what it means. We should never do anything that the Guru. In other words, our Guru is Srila Prabhupada, right? He is the Parama Guru for us in our disciplic succession. And whatever Srila Prabhupada said, he clearly said, I have not said one thing different than my Guru. And I have not done anything different than what my Guru wanted. So that was the unique, he said, if I have any qualification, I'm simply a post-peon. That means a deliverer of mail, right? And whatever my Guru has given me, I'm simply repeating it. I have not changed one word. This is an amazing statement. This is why Prabhupada succeeded fabulously. His other god brothers succeeded modestly. Right? They were not bad people. Most of them were very, very advanced people. And they did succeed. But Prabhupada succeeded in an unbelievable way because he never deviated from his Guru. So therefore he says, Guru is one. Whatever Krishna explained to Brahma, whatever Brahma explained to Narada, whatever Narada explained to Vyasa, whatever Vyasa explained to Madhavacharya, whatever Madhavacharya explained to his disciples, and one of them was Ishwarapuri, what Ishwarapuri explained to Lord Chaitanya, what Lord Chaitanya explained to the 6 Goswamis, especially Rupa Goswami. It's always been the same message. It's never been deviated from, right? So therefore, Guru is one, and also he says here, the trail, traverse the trail which your previous acharyas have passed. But we have hardly tried to understand the real purport of the sloka. If we scrutinizingly study this proposition, we understand that the Mahatma is one, and the Mahajana is one, and the royal road to the transcendental world is also one. That's the point. The royal road to the spirit transcendental world is also one, and the Mahajana is one. They don't deviate from the original words and the original teachings of Lord Krishna to Brahma, and through the whole disciplic succession until today, through Srila Prabhupada, they have not deviated. Because the truth of the absolute truth is hidden in the heart of a pure devotee, and the only way you can understand it is to traverse the same route that the Guru has taken, or the same trajectory that the Guru has taken. So what did Prabhupada do? He came, he taught the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, he explained the importance of eating prasadam and following the 4 regulative principles, and going out on Sankirtan and preaching and worshiping the deity and holding more and more festivals. This is what he taught, right? And he started the Jagannath festival. In fact, the people in Jagannath Puri are upset that he did that. Is this right? Yeah, they even make court cases against ISKCON why they're doing this, right? But Prabhupada spread this Jagannath Rath Yatra festival all over the world, right? You see? So he didn't deviate at all from his guru, and his guru didn't deviate at all from the previous acharyas. And every day we're saying the mantra, that the pranam mantras of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He hasn't deviated one iota from the teachings of Sri Rupa Goswami. See? So, therefore, what does this mean, though? Why has Prabhupada said, we have heard so many times, Mahajana Yenikata Sapanta, traverse the trail which your previous acharya has passed, but we have hardly tried to understand the real purport of this sloka. If we scrutinizingly study this proposition, we understand that the Mahajana is one, and the royal road to the transcendental world is also one. So he says, we have hardly tried to understand the real purport of this shastra. So what is that real purport? We should never do anything that Prabhupada didn't do. That's the purport. Because he revealed to us how to spread this movement. Now, if people who second guess the Guru do something that he never did, he may have spoken about something, but he never did it, then we have to be very careful, because we are going to be treading on very shaky ground if we do something he never did. He might have spoken about things, but if he never did it, and he never ordered it, you must do this, then we have no business doing anything like that. So I'll stop right there. I'm not going to go further into that. It could be very controversial. But the fact that Prabhupada says that we have hardly tried to understand the real purport of the sloka. In 1936, he's speaking to his godbrothers, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is, I'm pretty sure he was still alive. He died at the last day of 1936, right? So I'm sure he was still alive at that point. And he's saying we have hardly tried to understand the real purport. Okay, so then he goes on. Tad viganartam saguram eva vigachet. In order to learn the transcendental science, one must approach the bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession, who is fixed in the absolute truth. Thus, it has been enjoined herewith that in order to receive the transcendental knowledge, we must approach the Guru. Therefore, if the absolute truth is one, about which we think there is no differences of opinion, by which we think there is no difference of opinion, the Guru also cannot be two. The Acharya Deva, for whom we have assembled tonight to offer our humble homage, is not the Guru of a sectarian institution or one out of many differing exponents of the truth. On the contrary, he is the Jagat Guru, or the Guru of all of us. The only difference is that some obey him wholeheartedly, while others do not obey him directly. That's a message Prabhupada's giving to his godbrothers, because, all right, even then, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was present, there was some differences of opinion, see. But there can only be one opinion. That's what Krishna told Brahma, and that's what has come down to us today from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gorkishore Babaji, to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and that's what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave to all his disciples, but some of them differed. And like Ban Maharaj, he differed, although he was supposed to be the number one disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Okay, so then it says, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:17-27, it is said, Acharya mam vijanayan navamanyeta karichit namartya budhya suyeta sarvadeva mayo guru. One should understand the spiritual master to be as good as I am, said the blessed Lord. Nobody should be jealous of the spiritual master or think of him as an ordinary man, because the spiritual master is the sum total of all demigods. That is, the Acharya has been identified with God himself. He has nothing to do with the affairs of this mundane world. He does not descend here to meddle with the affairs of temporary necessities, but to deliver the fallen conditioned souls, the souls or entities who have come here to the material world with a motive of enjoyment by the mind and the 5 organs of sense perception. He appears before us to reveal the light of the Vedas and to bestow upon us the blessings of full-fledged freedom, after which we should hanker at every step of our life's journey. Yeah, full-fledged freedom, freedom from karma, freedom from time, freedom from all the debilitating qualities, lust, anger, greed, so forth. We want to be free. We want to have eternal life. We want our eternal soul to be active without any material desires, only desires to please Krishna. That is real freedom. And real freedom is having eternal life, not changing bodies all the time. The transcendental knowledge of the Vedas was first uttered by God to Brahma, the creator of this particular universe. From Brahma, the knowledge descended to Narada, and from Narada to Vyasadeva, and from Vyasadeva to Madhva. And in this process of disciplic succession, the transcendental knowledge was transmitted by one disciple to another till it reached Lord Gauranga, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who posed as the disciple and successor of Sri Ishwarapuri. The present Acharya Deva is the 10th disciplic representative from Sri Rupa Goswami, the original representative of Lord Chaitanya, who preached this transcendental tradition in its fullness. The knowledge that we receive from our Gurudev is not different from that imparted by God himself and the succession of the Acharyas in the preceptorial line of Brahma. We adore this auspicious day as Shivyas Puja Tithi. Why? He just said it. The knowledge that we receive from our Gurudev is not different from that imparted by God himself and the succession of the Acharyas in the preceptorial line of Brahma. We adore this auspicious day as Shivyasa Puja Tithi, because the Acharya is the living representative of Vyasadeva, the divine compiler of the Vedas, the Puranas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, and the Srimad Bhagavatam. One who interprets the divine sound or Sabda Brahma by his imperfect sense perception cannot be a real spiritual guru, because in the absence of proper disciplinary training under the bona fide Acharya, the interpreter is sure to differ from Vyasadeva, as the Mayavadis do. Srila Vyasadeva is the prime authority of Vedic revelation, and therefore such an irrelevant interpreter cannot be accepted as the guru or acharya, howsoever equipped he may be with all the acquirements of material knowledge. As it is said in the Padma Purana, Sampradaya vihina ye mantras te nisphala mata. Unless you are initiated by a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession, the mantra that you might have received is without any effect. Well, that puts a big X on the Maharishi. He was selling mantras. Right? And one of our devotees, his name was Adibhuta. He was a French devotee. He left our movement, right? So one day I met him in the street. I said, Adibhuta, what happened to you? He said, I'm no longer coming to the temple. I said, why? He said, well, I got a new guru. A new guru? Who was that? He said, Maharishi. I said, okay. I said, did you buy a mantra from it? He said, yes. Can you tell me that mantra? No, I promise I'd never tell anybody. Come on, you can tell me, Adibhuta, come on. You can tell me we're friends. No, I can't do that. Come on. So finally he said, okay. I said, all right, how much did you pay for it? So I said, I can't tell you that either. Come on, tell me. So he paid like 800 French francs, which is like, let's say it's about $100. Right? So I said, okay, tell me what your mantra is. He said, Nishinga. I said, what? Are you crazy? Prabhupada gave you the whole Nishinga mantra, and you paid $100 for one word? I said, are you crazy? And this is a true story. You see how crazy people are, right? He pays $100 and he gives in the mantra, Nishinga, you know. So this is what these cheating gurus are doing. You know, Maharishi was a cheater. Any mantras that he gave were not bona fide. Right? So, therefore, he says, as it is said in the Svatasvatara Upanishad 6.23, Yasya Devi Parabhaktir, Yata Devi Tata Guru, Taisyaite Katita Hiartak Prakasante Mahatmana. Svatasvatara Upanishad 6.23. Only to those great souls who simultaneously have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed to them. So we see in the case of Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj, his own family members had faith in Lord Chaitanya, but not in Balaram. So what happened? They insulted a disciple of Balaram, and a disciple of Balaram understood that they were not insulting him. They were actually insulting his guru because they had no respect for him. See? So one must have complete faith and trust, bona fide guru and Krishna. Then all the imports of the Vedic literature are revealed. Now, of course, the guru has to be bona fide. It can't be a nonsense. One time, a friend of mine basically forced me to come and see his guru. This was in Philadelphia a long, long time ago. So I went there, and his guru was a Sufi, a so-called guru from Sri Lanka.
Kangaroo.
Huh?
Kangaroo.
It's worse than a kangaroo. He's a gorilla guru. So this guy, you know, he was telling a lot of stories, right? You know, cute little stories, and talking nonsense. So I was listening to him. I wasn't, you know, I was saying to myself, why did I come to this thing? This guy's nonsense, you know. But out of respect, I didn't say anything. And then at the end of the lecture, some lady comes and gives him a cup of coffee and a cigarette. And he takes a sip from the coffee and smokes one puff and exhales from the cigarette. So I said, that clinches it. This guy's complete nonsense, you know. Then everyone stands up and he's going to go back to his room, you know. But instead of going back to his room, he walked straight to me and came right in front of me, right? And I had my bead bag like this, you know, and everyone's looking at me. And I'm wondering, what's this guy going to do, you know? And he goes like this to my bead bag with his hand. He said, this is not good. He said, what is this? I said, this is my bead bag, and I'm chanting on these beads, and I showed it to him. I'm chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. He said, this is not good. And then he went away. You see how nasty they are? It's unbelievable. You know? You guy's smoking a cigarette. He's drinking coffee, and who knows what else he's doing, right? And he's telling me this is not good, right?
Krishna.
This is what we're up against, right? These type of nonsense people. And, you know, he died, thank God. But, you know, his books are still around, you know, and he tells a lot of little stories, you know. But he was a phony, right? Okay, so only unto those great souls who simultaneously have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the, oh, by the way, after that, everyone came out to, Gurudev gave his mercy to you. Gurudev gave his mercy to you. You're really very lucky. You know, so I didn't want to say anything. I said, yeah, thank you very much. I walked away. And it's the last time I was going to listen to that friend of mine and, you know, and go see somebody else's guru. You know, it's crazy. I got his mercy. What kind of mercy did he give me? He's trying to destroy everything Prabhupada gave me, right? Prabhupada gave me mercy, not this phony. You know. Only unto those great souls who simultaneously have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, all the imports of the Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Gentlemen, our knowledge is so poor, our senses are so imperfect, and our sources are so limited that it is not possible for us to have even the slightest knowledge of the absolute region without surrendering ourselves at the lotus feet of Sri Vyasadeva or his bona fide representative. Every moment we are being deceived by the knowledge of our direct perception. It is all the creation or concoction of the mind, which is always deceiving, changing, and flickering. We cannot know anything of the transcendental region by our limited, perverted method of observation and experiment. But all of us can lend our eager ears to the oral reception of the transcendental sound transmitted from that region to this through the unadulterated medium of Sri Gurudeva or Sri Vyasadeva. Therefore, gentlemen, we should surrender ourselves today at the feet of the representative of Sri Vyasadeva for the elimination of all our differences bred by our unsubmissive attitude. See, all our differences bred means born of, our unsubmissive attitude. So even then, even before the disappearance of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the differences were brewing. They were fermenting, developing, right? And it was obvious that something would happen if the guru disappears, which he did shortly after this. Right? It is accordingly said in Sri Gita 434, Tat vidi paripatena paripasnena sevaya upeksamite jnanam ganinas tat pradarshanaha. He says, just approach the wise and bona fide spiritual master. Surrender unto him first and try to understand him by inquiries and service. Such a wise spiritual master will enlighten you with transcendental knowledge, for he has already known the absolute truth. Well, this is a different type of pedagogy. Pedagogy means theory of how to teach. So even last night I mentioned the same thing in this lecture I gave. I said, all my life up until 22, I was taught that you learn by studying and passing tests and memorizing things and so forth. But when I met the devotees, they told me it's a different system. This system is not academic. I said, really? I said, what is it? It says based on submission, surrender to the Lord. I said, wow, that's different. They said, yeah, this is the way you learn real knowledge. I said, well, look, I'm not satisfied with what I learned. That's why I'm traveling around the world. And I met you guys, and you're telling me something I never heard before, that there's a different technique of learning. It's by surrender. So I said, okay, I'm willing to try it. That's when I tried it, right? I wanted to see what they're talking about. It's not. They say it's not academic, and that shocked me when they said that, because I thought everything was academic. And so I surrendered, right? And I'm still around 54 years later, right? Still trying to surrender. So we see this is a different system, and therefore this verse. Tadvidi paripatena paripasnena seva upadeksamite jnanam ganinas tat pradarshana. There's three ways to, or three, let's say, beneficial qualities that one must have in order to receive transcendental knowledge. First is pranipat, submission. One time Prabhupada was giving a lecture in the Kumbh Mela. We had our own, what do you call, camp. There's so many different camps in Kumbh Mela. It's like, I don't know, 70 million people come, right? And Prabhupada was giving a lecture, and one person raised his hand and started a little bit of like arguing with Prabhupada. You know, he was like he was a Mayavadi. And Prabhupada, instead of answering him, he said, Pranipat, 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 like that. Like he just said it over and over again, you know, until the guy, you know, he got a little scared and sort of stopped his nonsense. Yeah, Pranipad, we have to surrender to the Lord. That's the beginning of spiritual life, right? It's not the end, it's only the beginning. And then we have to ask, Pranipad, Prasnena, we have to ask serious questions. Why am I suffering? Right? It's like Sanatana Goswami said, why am I suffering? Please explain it to me, Lord Chaitanya. And then offering service. These are the three necessary steps for receiving knowledge. You surrender, like Arjuna surrendered. He stopped arguing. He was arguing with Krishna, but he stopped. And he had started asking real questions, serious questions, and he was offering service. Okay, so therefore it says, just approach the wise and bona fide spiritual master, surrender unto him first, and try to understand him by inquiries and service. Such a wise spiritual master will enlighten you with transcendental knowledge, for he has already known the absolute truth. To receive the transcendental knowledge, we must completely surrender ourselves to the real Acharya in a spirit of ardent inquiry and service. Wow, this is a heavy statement. Completely surrender. Actual performance of service to the Absolute under the guidance of the Acharya is the only vehicle by which we can assimilate the transcendental knowledge. In other words, there's no other way. It's not academic. It's not by experiment and speculation, and it's not by logic and reason. It's not by argument. You have to surrender. And the proof that we surrender is we follow the same path traversed by our Acharya, who's Srila Prabhupada, who's following the same path traversed by his Acharya, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and so on, all the way up to Brahma and right to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Today's meeting for offering our humble services and homage to the feet of the Acharya Dev will enable us to be favored with the capacity for assimilating the transcendental knowledge so kindly transmitted by him to all persons without distinction. In other words, by glorifying our Gurudev today, it'll enable us to be favored with the capacity for assimilating the transcendental knowledge so kindly transmitted by him to all persons without distinction. Gentlemen, we are all more or less proud of our past Indian civilization, but we actually do not know the real nature of that civilization. Again, he's saying something very controversial. He's saying, look, we don't really know what is the real heritage of our people. We cannot be proud of our past material civilization, which is now 1,000 times greater than in days gone by. In other words, before the material civilization was much less in Bharat. Now he's saying it's much more, advanced, right? What would he say today, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. It is said that we are passing through the age of darkness, the Kali Yuga. What is this darkness? The darkness cannot be due to the backwardness in material knowledge, because we now have more of that than formerly. So this darkness that we're in is not due to, this backwardness is not due to, the darkness cannot be due to the backwardness in material knowledge, because we now have more of it than formerly. So we got much more material knowledge now, but we're advancing in darkness, he's saying here. If not, we ourselves, our neighbors, at any rate, have plenty of it. Yeah, our neighbors are the Americans and the British. They got plenty more material knowledge than we do. Therefore, we must conclude that the darkness of the present age is not due to the lack of material advancement, but that we have lost the clue to our spiritual advancement, which is the prime necessity of human life and the criterion of the highest type of human civilization. So he's saying, look, the darkness that we're in, it's not that because we don't have enough material civilization. We got plenty of it now. We had a lot less before. We got plenty of it now, but we got more darkness, right? So the darkness is because we stopped trying for spiritual realization. That's the darkness. That's the cause of the darkness. And it's not going to get better by more material advancement, which was what was being, like I said, worse, even worse than Nehru was Jamshedji Tata. He industrialized the country, right, which didn't need that, right? But they thought, oh, we have to imitate the Europeans. We have to be better than them. Well, you got better than them, and you ruined the culture, the civilization that maintained India for millions of years, right? Throwing of bombs from airplanes is no advancement of civilization. He says, throwing of bombs from airplanes is no advancement of civilization from the primitive, uncivilized practice of dropping big stones on the heads of enemies from the tops of hills. Improvement of the art of killing our neighbors by means of machine guns and poisonous gases is certainly no advancement from primitive barbarism, which prided itself on its art of killing by bows and arrows. Nor does the development of a sense of pampered selfishness prove anything more than intellectual animalism. Whoa, Prabhupada is very eloquent and very strong statements here. True human civilization is very different from all these states, and therefore in the Katha Upanishad 1.3.14, there is the emphatic call, Utistata Jagrata Prapyavaram Nibodhata Shurasya Dara Nisita Duratyaya Durgam Pantas Tat Kavayo Vadanti. Please wake up and try to understand the boon that you now have in this human form of life. The path of spiritual realization is very difficult. It is sharp like a razor's edge. That is the opinion of learned transcendental scholars. Thus, while others were yet in the womb of historical oblivion, wow, the beautiful phrases by Prabhupada, the womb of historical oblivion, the sages of India had developed a different kind of civilization which enabled them to know themselves. They had discovered that we are not at all material entities, but that we are all spiritual, permanent, and indestructible servants of the Absolute. But because we have, against our better judgment, chosen to completely identify ourselves with this present material existence, our sufferings have multiplied according to the inexorable law of birth and death. In other words, things have become worse and worse because we left our traditional culture and civilization, and we've adopted this foreign thing coming from Europe and the West of science, logic, and reason. But we have four faults. We make mistakes, we're easily illusioned, we have a cheating propensity, and our senses are imperfect. So how are we going to understand by direct observation? It's not possible to understand the truth that is transcendental to the material world. Our sufferings have multiplied according to the inexorable, in other words, you can't stop it, law of birth and death with its consequent diseases and anxieties. These sufferings cannot be really mitigated by any provision of material happiness because matter and spirit are completely different elements. So Turing said, in the future our computers will overtake human beings, and if there is a spirit, it'll be because of computer technology. We will. So he said the Turing test. You know what the Turing test is? Mm-hmm. Right. The day that the computer can imitate a human being in every aspect, that's the computer test. That we have succeeded. Right. So no one has succeeded up until now. Right. No one has achieved the Turing test. And by the way, Turing's not around anymore, right? He disappeared, right? It is just as if you took an aquatic animal out of water and put it on the land, supplying all manner of happiness possible on land. The deadly sufferings of the animal are not capable of being relieved at all until it is taken out of its foreign environment. Spirit and matter are completely contradictory things. All of us are spiritual entities. We cannot have perfect happiness, which is our birthright. However much we may meddle with the affairs of mundane things, perfect happiness can be ours only when we are restored to our natural state of spiritual existence. This is the distinctive message of our ancient Indian civilization. This is the message of the Gita. This is the message of the Vedas and the Puranas, and this is the message of all the real acharyas, including our present acharya, Deva, in the line of Lord Chaitanya. Gentlemen, although it is imperfectly that we have been enabled by his grace to understand the sublime messages of our Acharya Deva, Om Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Parirajagacharya Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, we must admit that we have realized definitely that the divine message from his holy lips is the congenial thing for suffering humanity. All of us should hear him patiently. If we listen to the transcendental sound without unnecessary opposition, he will surely have mercy upon us. That's the whole point. It is the biggest point. Without opposition, we must accept wholly everything the Acharya is saying without opposition. He says, if we listen to the transcendental sound without unnecessary opposition, he will surely have mercy upon us. The Acharya's message is to take us back to our original home, back to God. Let me repeat, therefore, that we should hear him patiently, follow him in a measure of our conviction, and bow down at his lotus feet for releasing us from our present causeless unwillingness for serving the Absolute and all souls. So we don't serve only Krishna, we serve all souls, right? We're not just having our little thing to ourselves. We want to spread it to everybody. So that's real Vaishnavism. We spread. It's not like there are some groups, they only teach the Brahmin kids their philosophy. They don't teach non-Brahmins. You have to be part of their gotra to get their education. That's nonsense. Where did that come from? It has nothing to do with Krishna, right? We only teach Brahmin kids. We don't teach anybody else's kids. From the Gita, we learn that's by the way, that is racism, right there. From the Gita, we learn that even after the destruction of the body, the Atma, or the soul, is not destroyed. He is always the same, always new and fresh. Fire cannot burn him. Water cannot dissolve him. The air cannot dry him up. And the sword cannot kill him. He is everlasting and eternal. And this is also confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1084.13. So I'm going to stop right there at 7:15. Are there any questions? We're going to finish this in the next day or two. This is an amazing lecture by Prabhupada. Everyone should hear this. Of course, not many people here to hear it. Yes.
Maharaj, a clarification question on the Sampradaya Vihinaye Mantraste Nishpalamata. Unless you're initiated by a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession, the mantra that you might have received is without any effect.
Yes.
I mean,
Just like my friend Adibhuta.
lot of devotees without initiation, we still chant Hare Krishna, and is it applicable?
It's a bona fide mantra, Hare Krishna.
Okay, even the devotee is not initiated, as long as the mantra comes from the bona fide spiritual master, we're okay to chant.
It's coming from the most bona fide spiritual master, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it's coming from the Vedas, from the Kali Santaranya Upanishad and other Upanishads and Puranas. But See, if you don't accept the guru, then you become like Ekalavya. I used to think Ekalavya was a good guy, right? But no, he was actually a bad guy. After I heard this lecture by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I realized, my God, I was in illusion about this Ekalavya. Ekalavya turned his guru into a liar. His guru is not a liar, of course, but by his misappropriation and by his misbehavior, he made his guru a liar. His guru promised Arjuna he'd be the greatest archer in the world, but Arjuna saw different animals that had been struck by the arrows of Ekalavya, by looking at it, he could tell that Ekalavya was a greater archer than him.
Yeah.
And he didn't get angry at his guru, but he gave the proof that, hey, look at this animal, it's been hit in these different ways by these arrows. There must be someone that's a greater archer than I am. And the guru said, really? He said, who is that? And they gave the name Ekalavya. He said, call him, I want to talk to him. So when Ekalavya came in front of him, he said, so you have become a good archer. He said, how did you learn? Oh, Gurudev, I've always been following you. So, oh, yeah, I made a statue of you. I'm worshiping it every day, and I'm practicing my archery. He said, oh, but you have not given me any dakshina. If you're my disciple, you have to give dakshina. He said, Gurudev, anything you want, I give to you. He said, cut off your right thumb. Right away, he cut it off and gave it to him. And I thought, wow, he's really a devotee. But no, because the real thought in his mind was, by doing that, he would be famous forever. Right? But after that, he could not equal Arjuna as a archer. Is he famous forever? Yeah, he's famous for not obeying his guru, right? Because and turning his guru into a liar, right? Although he was not a liar, but he made it seem as if he was a liar because he promised us something to Arjuna, and this guy makes that promise look like a false promise. Right? So anyway, if you don't have a bona fide guru, then you can start doing you start chanting like that, right? Thinking you're chanting Hare Krishna. Or you might hear another mantra that has more poetic, let's say, attraction for you. So Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, and Damari Dam, right? Or there are other mantras where they deviate from the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, right? But they're not bona fide mantras. I forget them now, but we see that without the help of the guru, we eventually will deviate, as Ekalavya did and others, and we might even be a cause of distress to the guru, because people say, "Oh, he's his disciple," but I saw him smoking a cigarette. Like one time, one of our devotees in the early days in France, we were going out every day up to 16 hours during Sankirtan. So this one new guy came, and we shaved him up, and he was going with us for a couple weeks, and then one day he didn't come back to the temple. And then later on, a day or two later, he came. And but in the meantime, when we were doing Sankirtan, while he was away, right, when he hadn't come back, one guy stopped me in the street, grabbed me like this. "You guys are phonies. You're nonsense. You're cheaters. You're liars." I said, "What's the matter?" I said, "What happened?" He said, "I saw one of you guys smoking a cigarette and trying to make out with this girl in the street." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, he's got this little thing in the back of his head, right?" I said, "Yeah." "And he's got a shaved head, right?" I said, "Yeah." "And he's got this thing in the middle of the..." I said, "Yeah." So after that, I was really shaken. I was trying to think, who could have done this? So the next day he comes back. So I said to him, "Where were you?" And he's trying to say this, that, and then finally he admitted that he hooked up with this girl. And I said, "Okay," I said, "you can't stay in the temple anymore." And but before you leave, we're going to cut your sika off. He said, no, I like it. I said, no, we're going to cut it off. And we forced him to cut it off. So now you can go and do whatever you want. You see, they were blaming us. They're saying we're a bunch of phonies, right? Because he was walking around with a sika and making out with some girl and smoking a cigarette and whatever. So that's what happens when you don't really accept Guru. You deviate and you make a mess. You know, a complete type of nonsense that misrepresents us. Right? So it's absolutely important to have a guru. Absolutely important. Even if you're not initiated in chanting, that's okay. That's fine. We want everybody to chant. But to do it successfully for the rest of your life, you need bona fide gurus. Gurus. Shiksha and Diksha gurus. Okay, any other questions? See, when you go on Sankirtan and you have so many experiences, you see everything. Every type of nonsense you're going to see. And you're going to learn, either you're going to learn from it or you're going to deviate, right? But if you learn from it, you have real wisdom. You be very careful. And if you deviate, then you become worse than you were before. Worse than you were before. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Prabhupada. We'll continue tonight and tomorrow.
Tonight is the event, Maharaj?
Yeah, yeah. Usually it should be at noon, but you know, very few people will come at noon, so we'll do it tonight. It's programmed for Prabhupada. This is his disappearance day. Who wants to sing? Dhananjay, you want to sing? Okay. Yeah.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhagati Sadma
Shri Guru Charana
Bandha Mohi Savadhana Mate Jahara Prasade Bhai E Bhava Toriya Jai Krishna Prapti ho jaha hoite Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Aikya Arna kori ho mane asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Aise Utama Gati जे प्रसाद पूरे सर्व आशा चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाशा जयते वेदे गाय जहाँ रचरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधम जनारा बंधु लोकेनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना हाँ हाँ प्रभु करो दया दे हमारे पद छाया वे बेजास घुष गुरु त्रिभुवाना प्रभुपाद पतित पवाना जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाशता विशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंदा Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajagachasta Tarasatara Shri Shrimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Shri Mayapur Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Ganga Maya ki jai, Jamuna Maya ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktavinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the simple devotees, all glories to simple devotees, all glories to simple devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guru, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana ki jai. Namo
The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great honor. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. I only wish to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord. Emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The very scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. Fame is all over three worlds.
We take shelter in lotus feet, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Nama Om Vishnu. Namaste. Sesa Sunivara Haribol, Haribol.